Hi everybody, I want to talk about something that's really been bugging me over the last few weeks, and honestly I think that many people in this country are starting to feel the same way. We had one of the biggest democratic votes in British history. Over 17 million people voted to leave the European Union. No, it wasn't a small vote, was it? It wasn't a close local election or anything like that. And it wasn't politicians deciding behind closed doors. The British public were asked directly, do you want to remain in the European Union or leave the European Union? And the country voted leave. Now, whether people agreed with Brexit or not at the time, that was the result, that was democracy. But now, years later, it feels like some politicians never really accepted it. And we know that, don't we? And we're here to talk about Britain getting closer to Europe again, aligning with EU rules, rejoining agreements, and giving more influence back to Brussels. And I think a lot of people are asking, yeah, hang on a minute, why are we trying to slowly reverse Brexit without actually admitting it? Because during the elections they'll say, we're not rejoining the EU. But then every few months there's another conversation about closer integration. And it's not even every few months, is it? It's every other day at the moment. Closer defence ties, closer trade agreements, closer migration agreements and closer regulations. At what point does closer ties become Brexit in name only? And that's what people are worried about. Now look, Europe's important. Of course it is. We trade with Europe, we travel to Europe, we work with European countries on security and intelligence, and we go over there and sunbathe and drink their beer. Nobody sensible is saying Britain should completely isolate itself from the continent, far from it. But there's a massive difference between cooperating with Europe and handing power back to unelected EU institutions. And that's the key point. A lot of people voted leave because they wanted decisions made in Britain. British laws, British borders, British courts and British accountability. They wanted the government you vote for to be responsible for making the decisions affecting your life. And whether politicians like it or not, that was the direction that the country chose. I'll put my teeth in. But now under Starmer there's a growing feeling that the political establishment is slowly trying to edge Britain back into the orbit of the EU. Maybe not overnight, maybe not openly, but bit by bit. And this is where trust becomes a huge issue. Because if millions of people vote for something and and politicians spend years trying to dilute it, soften it and trying to quietly reverse parts of it, people start losing faith in democracy itself. They start thinking, what's the point in voting if the establishment just waits a few years and brings it back anyway? And that's dangerous for any country. And I'll say this as well. People who voted leave were constantly insulted. They were called uneducated, racist, ignorant, told they don't understand what they voted for. But many of those people simply wanted control returned to Britain, and I'm one of them. That doesn't make them extremists. I'm not an extremist. That makes them citizens with a political opinion. And politicians ignore that at their own risk. Now, personally, I think Britain should be friendly with Europe, work with Europe where it benefits both sides, but remain fully independent politically. Europe should have no control over us at all. And that's what many people believe they were voting for. Not isolation, not hostility, independence. And if politicians want to reopen the EU debate properly, then they should be honest about it. Put it to the public again. Say clearly we believe Britain should rejoin the EU. Let the people decide. But don't slowly move the country closer and closer while pretending nothing is changing, because people notice. And people remember what they voted for. Anyway, let me know what you think. Do you think Britain is slowly drifting back towards the EU? Would you ever vote to rejoin? Do you think Brexit still needs more time to work properly? And if you think we were sold down the river on the Brexit negotiations, let me know, because I think we were. We didn't get the Brexit that we voted for. Anyway, if you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe and share it around, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye everybody. I'll see you soon.